Hey, what is up guys? So today we're going to be going over Dueling Network versus Devpro, two very popular applications to actually play Yu-Gi-Oh! Online for free with, and I think these are the two best applications. But I hear you guys argue all the time in the comment section below, Dueling Network is better, Devpro is better, and the thing is, I think both of them are great applications, so much better than anything Konami has actually produced for us, simply because it allows us to have access to all the cards for free. And, I really hate microtransactions that try to charge you for the things that you want to play. Cosmetics, that's another story, but let's go ahead and jump right into it. Now, first off, I'm going to be going over the pros over Devpro or YGO Pro. They're basically the same thing. YGO Pro and Devpro are essentially the same application, but if you guys want to learn how to actually play both these applications, because they are free and they're very awesome applications, link down below in the description box, and I'm going to put other links to actually help you understand the basic mechanics of Dueling Network or Devpro. Now, some of these can technically be argued that they are positives. They can also be argued that they are negatives. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it. I have a huge list, so if I look down, I've got a whole bunch of notes. But anyways, so as far as Devpro, the main difference between Devpro and Dueling Network is Devpro is automated, meaning it's like the Game Boy games or any game that you've played online. Everything is done automatically. So if on the end phase you have to search for a monster, it'll say, end phase, would you like to search for this monster? Then you just go ahead and hit yes. Now, this one is the main one where you could be argued that it is better for you to actually remember that you have to end phase search off of that card, because some things in Yu-Gi-Oh! Are optional and you don't actually have to get those effects. So I would say it's less realistic as far as playing in real life. Because in real life, if you forget the search for card and it's your opponent's turn, you can't be like, wait, hold on, let me go back. Well, technically you can say that, but on Devpro, if you go ahead and say no, it's not going to give you that option. Which is another thing in the game where you can argue that it's a positive or a negative, where you cannot take back your moves. If you, for example, want to special summon something in defense mode and you accidentally special summon in attack mode, no, it's in attack mode. You cannot change it unless you're activating another card effect. So I feel like this one can kind of be argued both ways. The automatic system can be argued that it is worse. Some people actually prefer the automated system. For me, I prefer automated. That way, you don't have to actually have any arguments and all the other ruling disputes and all the other good stuff that you would have normally in real life as well as on Dueling Network. So, Devpro is all automatic, and that's like the main differences between Dueling Network and Devpro is it's automatic. Saving replays. This is a feature that Dueling Network does not have. And I think this is a pretty big one, because when you pull up these sick plays, you want to share them with your friends. You can email them that replay file, or you can send it to them. I have a series that I do where I kind of check out you guys' really cool replays. Link down below in the description box if you want to learn how to actually do that. But it's pretty easy. So you can send your replays and save them to your computer, and you can share them with friends. So I think that is very awesome. What I really like with Devpro, though, is you don't have to worry about people that cheat in the game. Now, what I mean by cheating is sometimes it's not even intentional. Sometimes you miscalculate life points, or sometimes you hit the wrong button. You accidentally special summon a card that you normally can't summon from your hand. It's just accidents happen in Yu-Gi-Oh! Even in the 2012 Nationals, we had a player actually OTK. Well, it wasn't OTK. He actually finished off his opponent, but his opponent continuously still played the game, and his opponent actually was crowned the champion, even though he didn't actually deserve it. Thousands of people were watching, and also all the judges there, none of them caught it. So even though sometimes you think, no, I pay very close attention, I never make mistakes, trust me, you will make mistakes. If you didn't catch them, that's because you didn't even catch your own mistake. Mistakes happen in Yu-Gi-Oh! And they're not always intentional when people actually cheat in Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot of times it's just that you weren't paying attention to the condition or card, or you just don't know the ruling. Sometimes there's just awkward cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! I understand that you just don't know how it works, which chain resolves, and what just basic rulings in Yu-Gi-Oh! Sometimes, I'll even admit, as some of you guys know, I make mistakes too. It's just part of the game. But I like with Devpro, though, is you don't have to worry about any of that. Some people that will say that there are less noobs on Devpro, and some people say that there are more noobs on Devpro. Personally, through my experience, now I play a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, basically, this whole channel is all about Yu-Gi-Oh! So I've probably played more than a majority of people, and I honestly would say there are a lot more players that are, I would say, newer to the game on Dueling Network, simply because it's easier to access. You don't even have to go and download an application, which is actually something that we'll talk about a little bit later. But for the most part, you can just go to a website. You have to install anything. All you you need is Flash, and you can go straight into it. So I would say that there are more newer players, but once you get into the high-rated section in most games, like I would kind of consider it similar to League of Legends. I know I bring up League of Legends, it's just because it's a game that I think a lot of people are more familiar with. You will get matched up against noobs when you're in bronze and silver and stuff, but once you get over to diamond, majority of the time the players are just going to be a little bit better. I mean, not all the time, I understand, but I would say majority of the time, once you get high ranked in either application, where it's Dueling Network or Devpro, you're going to be playing against much better players anyways. And the only frustration that I have with playing against newer players on Dueling Network is sometimes they try to activate cards and they'll argue with you, and you can't call admin because we'll get into that later. But for the most part, you don't have to really worry about any of the rulings, and I would say that there are technically less, well, not only is there less noob players or just newer players to the game, but you don't have to like sit there and argue with them, so it's very nice. Cards are technically out faster in Devpro, which means if something is newly announced, Devpro usually gets it before Dueling Network, meaning they add in the card. And this is all actually done by another reason. Well, it's not just because like the guy is just faster at coding and all that stuff. The main reason actually why is because on Dueling Network they prefer to have the card out in its OCG form, meaning that the card is physically out, whereas Devpro sometimes they'll take a card where we have it rumored to have this effect, but they'll just implement the effect, and they will update it in a future patch if it actually needs to be updated. One thing that it's pretty minor, but you're not stuck in a 4:3 ratio, meaning it is a square ratio rather than having it being able to be stretched. I mean, in Dueling Network you can stretch it, but it is still locked to 4:3, which I actually would hope in the future they make it to a widescreen. It doesn't really affect the gameplay too much. It's just nicer to actually present when you're recording videos. So I really prefer Devpro because being able to actually go full screen, essentially, not with the black bars on the side. It's almost like when you record, like you see the videos on WorldStar, they're always vertical videos, man, and I just wish they just tilted their phone, man. But yeah, that's one thing on Devpro that I actually like. On Devpro you can have custom sounds and custom sleeves. On Dueling Network you can unlock some sleeves, you can pay real money as a macro transaction to have a cosmetic sleeve. It doesn't really affect the gameplay at all. It just adds, you know, your own sleeves. With Devpro you can do that completely for free along with your own music. And also Devpro, there is a few applications for your Android, so if you are an Android user, you can actually take some of the games on the go, so I think that is very nice. Also, what I really like in Devpro is there's no going back, so it makes it so if you make a mistake, you have to live with that mistake, and I actually prefer that. Some people, again, some of these can be argued that they're positives or negatives. Sometimes I've even accidentally clicked set instead of summon, and that completely screws over the game. There was a game a while ago where I accidentally set a card D, and that definitely is not something that you want to do in a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is setting a card D. But yeah, that's just something I want to mention, that there's no going back, and I actually like that because it makes it so you know, if you make a mistake, you have to actually, you know, take the punishment. And also, if your opponent makes a move in like in real life or Dueling Network, sometimes they're like, wait, actually, let me go ahead and do this, and you're like, oh my gosh, you can't go back, and then they're like, wait, yeah, I can, and then you get into an argument, and I think it's just much better not to have that argument even started in the first place. Also, this one, I just thought it was hilarious. In Dueling Network, there was actual text in the actual application where it said you cannot host a game and say that you're looking for a girlfriend. You can't even go into the public chat and say that you're looking for a girlfriend. I don't know why this is a rule, but you actually get banned for looking for girlfriends in Dueling Network. I thought it was hilarious. I just wanted to mention it. I mean, actually, I think that's actually a positive thing, because, like, seriously, we're here to play some Yu-Gi-Oh! Why are we here talking about hooking up with people in the game? But yeah, you can't look for a girlfriend or boyfriend in Dueling Network. In Devpro, I think that that's okay. It's not one of the rules. I'm not even joking. This is an actual rule on Dueling Network. What's really cool with Devpro also is you can share decks. So if you're like, oh, I want to go ahead, and usually what I do actually when I do deck profiles and they're on Devpro, I put a link down below in the description box, and you guys can just download it, and then all you have to do is drag and drop the actual file into your Devpro folder, and it's really easy to do. There's a video tutorial on it, so link down below in the description box if you're interested in learning how to do that. But yeah, you can go ahead and actually do that, and it just makes it real easy for you to share your deck with your friends rather than having to screenshot it, because that's what a lot of players do on Dueling Network. They take a picture of it, and sometimes the resolution is too small, you can't read the exact card name, and Devpro just makes it super easy. So I think that's really awesome for sharing, copying decks, whether you want to net deck or just share it with your friend. You want to email him that deck list or something like that. Oh, another thing I really like on Devpro is there is no slow play, which means that if your opponent takes like 10 minutes for a move, they will actually forfeit their move, and it becomes your turn. Now, if they're continuously doing plays, don't worry, they'll get their sufficient time. It just stops people from literally just going AFK. And Dueling Network, sometimes I understand disconnects happen, or maybe your house is on fire, and you got to go ahead and put the house out. You got to make sure it's not still on fire. So what happens is the other players has to sit there, and they have to call an admin, and they have to sit there and wait and wait and wait, and it's not fun to wait. I really hate that. So there's really no slow playing in Devpro. It'll just basically make it so it's the other player's turn. And another thing, as far as positives on Devpro, is you don't have to worry when Convulsions of Nature is activated. I know no one plays that card, but when you go into ranked and someone plays it, you gotta banish every single card, and it takes like 5 hours for that. I swear, I don't even want to deal with that. I just give them the win. I'm like, no, I don't want to deal with it. It's the most annoying card to play on Dueling Network because it's not automated. You can't do an automated Convulsions of Nature. It's so annoying. Also, the last plus that I have for Devpro written on my list is that you can tag team duel, and I love that because it just incorporates really crazy combos you would never think of. You know, this deck works with this deck or something like that, but there's also really bad things to tag team with. Never tag team with Quackymiros. That is the worst deck because your partner might not be able to reveal one of those Quackymiros or that type during the end phase, and your Quackymiro is just going to die. So this, I would say, is overall plus. And Dueling Network actually mentioned previously, I used to talk to one of the head admins there, and he said they will never implement tag duels because there's just too much problems for it. Okay, and now let's go over the pros of Dueling Network, because it's another application, and basically you just go to the website. The first one that I have as far as a pro is you don't need to download anything. I mean, you have to, you know, it'll be cached in your, cookies and all that other good stuff. But anyways, you're not going to have an issue with, downloading any errors. Also, it works on Mac because it's just Flash. If you can't play Flash, then you won't be able to play it. Although I know there's some workarounds and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's much easier to actually play. And that's one reason why I think that there are less noobs, or I'd say newer players, because you have to at least have the basics of being able to extract a file, unzip a file. I know it's so simple for a lot of you guys, as well as myself, but some people just don't know how to unzip a file. I don't know, but yeah, that's just one thing that can separate. I can basically eliminate a lot of players that just are completely clueless with computers, is what it comes down to. One negative thing with Dueling Network, though, I didn't really mention this, but this is a negative. It probably won't affect a lot of you guys unless you have like a YouTube channel, or maybe you have a gaming channel and you're gonna go play Yu-Gi-Oh! If this happens only when a few hundred people PM you, if you open up the chat box after there's a few hundred, it'll crash the game. The Flash, for whatever reason, can't handle it, and someone's gonna be like, Asian Eyes, your computer's a scrub. Hey, I got 16 gigs of RAM, I have a GTX 590, not that it's actually relevant to this, and I have an i7 2600, but I'm going to be upgrading to the 5960 later on. But for the most part, it probably won't be a problem, but it's just that if you happen to have a large following on Twitter or something, you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to duel, guys. If too many people PM you and you click on that chat box, it'll crash the Flash. I don't know, that's just something I wanted to briefly mention. It probably won't really affect most of you guys, but just figured I'd mention that. And I would say Dueling Network is a little bit more user-friendly when you're first starting out, because I would almost say that I don't want the next comment section now is all going to be about the Mac versus Android. I have both, okay? I have Android and iOS, but anyways, I would say that Dueling Network is more similar to Mac. Like, it's built in, everything kind of works. It's more friendly for players, but the customization options on Devpro are just so much better. So it's more like Android, essentially. The main reason why I really don't like Dueling Network, though, and I'm sure everyone will be like, I agree 1000%. I don't think anyone that would disagree. When there's only one admin, meaning one, or judge, this is basically like, an admin is basically the judge of the game. And there's actually multiple levels to how bad this thing is. So there might be 5,000 players playing the game, and there might be only 2 or 3 administrators on, which can actually help you with rulings if you have a problem with your opponent cheating or anything like that. There's only like 3 admins for thousands of players, and that becomes a huge problem because sometimes, like I mentioned before, sometimes it's not even that the player's trying to cheat. He just doesn't know exactly how a card works, and he thinks it works a certain way, and he's just like, you know what, I just want to make double sure that, you know, this is how the card works, and he's not trying to be, you know, a person that's trying to waste your time. He just doesn't even know. And the worst part is the admin comes in, and the admin could actually be wrong about a certain thing. Like, I had a ruling where there's a semi-Nomi and Nomi monster, and there was a problem with that, meaning that if it gets Solemn Warning, it was not special summoned properly, therefore you can't bring it back. And it's just problematic things like that that happen, and sometimes judges will be like, yeah, that's how it works. And first off, waiting for a judge is awful in Dueling Network, and then second off, if they somehow side with your opponent, and you'll just get salty, regardless if you're like, you know what, I'm really not too sure, but you'll always have that thought in the back of your head, maybe that they're friends, maybe they're working together. But for the most part, it's just that you have to wait way too long, and even then the ruling could be wrong, and that's why I love Devpro. It's like, nope, everything's done for you. You don't even have to worry about that. This one could be considered positive or negative. On Dueling Network, let's say you have tuners and you have monsters on the field that you want to synchro make something. On Dueling Network, you'll have to like actually read and make sure the card can't synchro for, you know, like if, for example, Quick Draw Synchron can only be used for the Synchron monsters, and sometimes people just try to make things and you're like, no, you can't do that, and then they try it anyways. With Devpro, what's really nice is it tells you everything that you have access to synchroing for. Now this could be a downside technically, because you're going to think sometimes, well, my opponent would have never seen that play, like who would have thought of that? He just clicked on his extra deck and realized he could have special summoned that monster, so you can argue it both ways. Now, but I feel like Dueling Network is much more interactive in the chat. We have the public chat. Actually, the public chat is absolutely awful as far as if you want to actually get help from the game or actually have a meaningful conversation. It is just full of trolls, and I actually enjoy that. I loved the public chat in Dueling Network because it's so awful that it makes it so awesome. But overall, as far as what one would you decide to play, it's totally up to you. They're both free applications, unless, of course, you, for whatever reason, can't understand how to unzip a file. Both of them will be down below in the description box if you want to go ahead and check them out, if you're wondering what applications I use. I personally use Devpro because I hate seeing misplays, and I admit, you know, sometimes when I'm playing on Dueling Network, I make a mistake in the game. Sometimes my opponent will activate Duality, go ahead and search and do these other things, and then I'll forget he activated Duality, and then he'll special summon a Judgment Dragon, and then I'm like, oh yeah, sure, it's fine, and then I attack for game, and then I give him the victory, and I lose rank points, and then I'm like, wait, hold on, he activated and then sometimes you just realize that. But what it really comes down to, though, as far as player preference, I really feel like for recording games, I feel like Devpro is just so much better, simply because you have access to seeing those replays. You can also check out your opponent's deck. You can actually see what cards that they had in their hand. You can go ahead and actually learn a lot more from Devpro as far as the replays and all that good stuff goes. In Dueling Network, you would have to manually record it, and it just can become a problem if you don't have access to like recording equipment and like software and stuff like that. So overall, I feel like Devpro is more similar to the Game Boy games and stuff like that. Everything is automated. If you want a more closer to real life experience, I definitely recommend you to actually try Dueling Network, simply because it's going to be more close to real life than actual Devpro. Because Devpro, everything's automated. It's just it's real snappy and it's real fast, and that's the reason why I personally like it more. But I would love to know what application you actually like more. If you felt like I missed out on any pros or cons of either application, I would love to hear them down below in the comment section. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and like I said, if you want to download either, well, you don't really download Dueling Network, you kind of just visit a website, which is actually really nice. But if you want to check them out, I'll have a link down below in the description box, as well as a brief little tutorial and overview, and kind of give you a better understanding of how both applications work when they're actually, you can basically see a kind of like a walkthrough tutorial. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys, have a great day. Azneyes signing out.